Well, now I think I've put on a pound or so of muscle in a single, week and a half. What up, though, and welcome to the Middle-Aged Muscle Man Musician, aka Donald Pump. Please hit subscribe. Don't forget to tap that bell for updates because I'm finally cranking out all that backlog of material I've been talking about. A lot of it will be useful for you guys. Plenty of it will be revealing, I guess you could say. And the topic we're on today is a 6-week body transformation challenge that I created. I created it as a way to show the differences, that the subtle changes I can put into a program, the small things can really make a difference in your overall results and your measurements and your strength, everything. And that's despite the fact that I've been training for a year and a half, essentially. So that's, not newbie gains. And, if you looked at my week over week, month over month stuff during that entire period, you'll always see pretty decent incremental changes. That's because I'm always doing this. There's always something you can do. Your body's not just going to hit a wall and say, oh, you got to go through something super extreme to get me to grow now. That's not necessarily the case. It's just that I feel like a lot of times people are changing the wrong things. And this is kind of an example before I start providing training programs for guys as to what I can help you to do in a very short amount of time, even if you have tried everything. So it's been a week and a half since the last video. And in that first one, I told you guys I lost a half a pound essentially during that week, despite the fact that I hadn't upped any cardio or lowered any caloric intake. Well, now I think I've put on a pound or so of muscle in a single, week and a half because I've lost measurement in my midsection. I've increased strength. You could tell in the photos I've gained mass, but yet I've actually increased my cardio and decreased my calories for this week. So you're increasing how much of your caloric intake that you're putting out, and you're actually bringing less in, but yet you're gaining weight. Now I know that could be water weight to some people and stuff like that, but obviously I'm taking these measurements at the same time. I'm taking them all the time. It's not just a one fluke thing like, oh, it's higher now, let's record that one. That's not the case. That's not the way I do it. So, I've gained a pound. So I'm at plus, a little more than half a pound. As far as my waist goes, like, this is probably more significant. In that first week, I had lost nearly a half inch on my waist. A week and a half, I had lost nearly a half inch on my waist. I added another 2/10 of an inch to that. Now I'm at almost 3/4 of an inch off of my waist in only 3 weeks. And that's with gaining a pound. My hip measurement is down another 1/4 of an inch. My biceps, I'm really happy about that because that's always a lagging body part for me because I have long arms and stuff like that. In fact, I just made a video for guys with long arms to kind of teach them how to compensate for that issue. I gained only 1/10 of an inch in that first week in bicep size. I added 2/10 of an inch in this last week and a half. So I'm at like almost 1/3 of an inch in 3 weeks. To me, that's pretty significant. And I gained another 1/10 of an inch on my calves. I told you guys that there was a certain little something I was doing with those to try to address that issue because I'm a toe walker. My whole life, all I've ever stimulated was the slow twitch muscle fibers. In other words, my calves would get cut, but they would never seem to grow. And so I addressed that, and now I'm up to more than 1/3 of an inch on the calves in 3 weeks. So I'm pretty happy with that. So, to recap it, I gained at least a pound of muscle over this 3-week period. I've lost almost 3/4 of an inch on my waist. I've lost, at least 1/4 or so inches on my hip. I've gained 1/3 of an inch on my biceps, and I've gained over 1/3 of an inch on my calves. I'm feeling good about all of that. Anything I'm not naming essentially stayed the same, or it's really hard to tell if there's a change or not. If there's a negative in there, I'd say, but there hasn't been. Main things I've done have been changes in technique. One of those is biceps. That's one of the main ones. Some of the measurements are pretty obvious as far as the weak point changes. That's one of the things I've done is I've incorporated a little something that particularly addresses the parts of your body that kind of lag behind the rest, I guess. I didn't increase my total number of sets. I didn't do that. I just made slight, subtle changes. Like I said, I increased cardio. I decreased the frequency of it, but I increased the amount of it. I decreased my calories, and I still ended up with increased musculature, size, increased strength. That's the main thing that I've been getting. that could be partly due in part to the turkesterone. I've got another video coming right after this one addressing that, talking about that. And I have the recent one addressing the Greg Doucette, answering the Greg Doucette video here. You can check that one out because I go into that a little bit scientifically just to get some things across. Because I know guys don't have time to just be sitting here reading up on this stuff. I mean, technically either do I, but I have a strange fascination with certain things. But anyways, and I've made just slight exercise changes. That's really it. Technique and some of the movements are different, but the amount of sets isn't different. The cardio is increased this week. The calories are decreased, but yet I'm gaining some size. And see, I've done versions of this for like 17 months. I'm constantly changing things, keeping my body guessing, essentially, and staying away from adaptation. You know, your body's going to adapt to certain things. I've also done a bit of kind of, I guess you could say, scientific research as far as what is actually building muscle, where the micro tears and stuff like that that we've always believed cause that really aren't what's doing it. To briefly summarize it, you know, we used to think it was micro tears and then heal and grow. Well, now what it really is micro tears kind of lose some muscle, and then a few weeks in, when you're doing the same movements or upping the weight, doing your progressive overload, now all of a sudden the response is going to be to grow. That's an interesting thing. And the other thing I did with this, as far as like the exercises and certain intensity levels and weights and stuff like that, like how much I went up and all of that, I've got like a specialty body part focus thing going on here. So, you know, in some muscles, I'm more targeting the slow twitch fibers, and some I'm targeting the fast twitch. And it has to do with my genetics, my predisposition to different stimulus, kind of my monitored results over the past 17 months. And then, of course, the week over week results and what I'm seeing, feeling, and measuring. I'm kind of making specialty changes to that too. I've changed some things as far as my caffeine intake and the timing of it, my sleep schedule, and what times a day I train at. And I've also kind of taken the little bit of stretches and rubs and stuff like that I do like during recovery and for injury, and kind of place them in certain places throughout the week. And I've kind of implemented a lot of uni movements so that I'm kind of balancing things out aesthetically. And that's even though some, you know, like take my shoulders, for instance, one's always lower than the other just because of the injury. You know, I'm finding ways to kind of counterbalance that with growth and things of that nature. So, you know, the goals at the end of this is 6 weeks. That would be really significant changes. Overall, I'll be in a deficit during this thing, but I want to be able to put on 5 pounds in the 6 weeks. I'm kind of behind schedule in that, but I want to get up to like 170.8 is where I'd be at with that. The biceps, I want at 15.8. That would be 0.4. I'm getting close to that. The shoulder measurement, I want at 49 inches. That would be a third of an inch larger. The pecs, I want to get to 44 inches even. That'll be 1.5 inches difference. The waist, I want to get down to 32 flat. That would be losing another 0.5 inch. The abdomen, same type of situation, 32.5. I'd have to lose 1/3 of an inch. The thighs, I want to get up to 21.7. I've got another 1/3 of an inch to go on those. Calves, I want to get up to 15.4, which would be another 0.4 inches right there. Those are my goals. As far as my strength increases, and these aren't like PRs or whatever. Like I don't max out due to tendon injuries and stuff like that, and the fact that I don't want anything jeopardizing my bodybuilding. I don't do that, but what I do is I go to a certain level of failure, and I'm kind of measuring this based on, okay, on this particular exercise, this is the amount of reps I'm getting, going to this amount of exertion, you know, at this amount of weight. So in the deadlift, I've actually gone up 30 pounds, same amount of reps, same amount of intensity, you know, same level to failure. Easy bar curl, added 20 pounds. The leg press, I've added 80. The bench press, I've added 20. And the seated rows, I've added 20. That's just over a 3-week period. And yes, I was incrementally upping things leading up to this. It's just that I've been able to kind of orchestrate a bit more of a change right now with the same amount of exertion. So yeah, guys, that's where I'm at as far as the results. 3 weeks in, I'm very happy with what I've gotten. Kind of interesting. A few things went slightly different than I thought they would, but you can't perfectly plan everything, no matter how many times you've done this. But you can take some guidance from somebody who's done it a lot of times. Cuts that waiting period out. We don't want to wait to see the results in our bodies. I've got a hard 3 weeks ahead of me to reach the goals that I set. Because if a single one of those isn't met, I'm not going to feel happy. I'm not going to feel comfortable giving anyone a program. So got to go at it even harder this week, and I've got some things I'm going to build into the programs that should make the differences that I want to make. I significantly changed technique. I increased my cardio but decreased the frequency of it. I targeted certain muscle fibers in certain parts of my body. That's about it. I think that the ways in which I was doing that were mostly correct. As far as a program for someone else, depending on their body, there's a couple of things that I can think of right now that I would change slightly. But other than that, I just wanted to update everybody, let them know that I'm still doing the thing and that the results are happening. Let me know what you think of them for such a short amount of time, 3 weeks. Throughout this, I've put photos on there and everything, and some of them have measurements on them. So let me know what you think of that. Let me know what kind of results you've had over short term. Let me know if you think that my goals are too much, too high. I've set too high of a bar. I had a couple of people tell me that, but I don't know. In most departments, most body parts, I'm actually making good progress. Remember to check out the latest Tangad Ali related video I have up here. That is the company whose shirt I'm wearing, Akarali, makes a really solid Tangad Ali product. I've done several videos on my results from it. I'm actually off the Tangad Ali today. I'm actually off the Tangad Ali since I started this program. I will be back on it for the final week and a half, I believe. Stuff's in the mail, in other words. And I'll let you guys know. Well, you'll be able to tell, I was growing at this rate for these weeks, and then all of a sudden, what happened here? We'll see if it's truly a positive. I'll be doing blood work at some point for that stuff too, for the guys that said, oh, these results and this anecdotal information doesn't mean anything unless you do blood work. Well, I'm going to do that too. And I've also got a Turkesterone update video that I'll be dropping immediately after this one. There's the results. There's the program. There's the other videos you can check out. And on that note, I say peace.